This is the first step of awakening. It's not saying, I shouldn't be thinking. No, the first step is to realize that there is a voice that talks most of the time inside you. And perhaps that until now, you had been so identified with the voice that was you. You were talking to yourself. Sometimes people talk to themselves as I. Sometimes people talk to themselves as you. You have a little voice that says, you should have done that. Why didn't you do that? The voice is talking to some other voice, and then perhaps there's an answer. Well, I couldn't help it. Yeah, but you should have. So sometimes the voice splits itself into different voices. Talking to each other becomes even more mad. A great step forward is already to realize that there is a voice in your head that talks all the time. Because that really, I would say that it's the first glimpse of an awakening, because to realize that there is a continuous self-talk happening, a lot of it totally unnecessary, by the way. We're not talking about the thinking that is helpful and useful and can solve problems in your life and create new things. The mind is potentially a wonderful tool to be able to be used in that way. But for many people, the mind is a kind of torture instrument 80% of their lives. And they would be much happier and much more productive without the self-talk. So the first realization is that there is a voice. And that I call it the first awakening, because that means something else has come in.
Your mind is always listening to your self-talk. It's always eavesdropping, and we have to stand guard to our mind. It's as simple as being conscious of those thoughts, and then maybe adding a little word. So I don't have a great memory. Maybe adding a little word like "yet" at the end. You tweak it a little bit.
The moment you think a negative thought, especially if you think more than one negative thought, it goes on for a few minutes and then leads to another and another, you connect to negativity in a million other people in the same city, kind of, and then you're in it. Nothing personal. And then people are surprised if they can't get out. It's not just yours. You have connected with the whole city, or more, or beyond. That's why it's so important to keep yourself as clear as possible through presence. The less you carry inside, the less likely it is that it'll affect you. Well, now you may still be able to feel it.
The default mode network, while it involves a lot of different brain areas, can be thought of simply as the network of brain areas that are active when your mind is wandering between these different time domains. And the paper I'd like to share with you, as I mentioned before, is now a classic paper, has a wonderful title, which is "A Wandering Mind is an Unhappy Mind." Now that sounds almost like a news article or a news article about a scientific paper, but that's actually the title of the scientific paper, which was published in the journal Science, which is one of the 3 apex journals. Scientific publishing is competitive, but it's especially competitive to get manuscripts accepted into Science, into Nature, and into the journal Cell. So it represents kind of one of the Super Bowl, NBA championships, and Stanley Cup, if you will, for you sports aficionados of scientific publishing. This is a paper from Matthew Killingsworth and Dan Gilbert.
What is the present moment? Where is it? What does it even mean to become aware of the present moment? And the first thing, of course, is that you become aware of whatever surrounds you. That's the entry point into the present moment. A very easy entry point into present moment awareness, some people may call it mindfulness, is to become more aware of whatever surrounds you here and now.
Meditation brings a kind of calmness that is so necessary in life. So Sometimes you're in a situation where everything is coming at you. People are yelling at you. You've got emails that are piling up. You're getting stressed. You're getting kind of cranky, etc., etc. And you go, God damn it, I got to calm down. I got to find a way. I better do something. I better take a pill or drink a beer or do something. Meditation doesn't operate that way. Because you've practiced it all of the time, every single day, you don't have to try. It comes up within you naturally. So because every morning I'm calming my mind down, I'm making it still, I'm trying to get rid of all of those intrusive thoughts. When that moment comes where people are yelling at me, screaming at me, emails are piling up, everyone's getting cranky, I don't have to think, I don't have to try, it just naturally rises up in me. Don't react, Robert. Why react? It doesn't matter. Nothing matters.
Live fully in the present moment with the awareness that you already have what you desire. The present is where all power resides. Do not project your desires into the future. Claim them as yours now. As you feel the reality of your desire in this very moment, the outer world will conform to your assumption and deliver it to you in perfect timing.
If you want to manifest something, you have to start with the foundation for manifestation is always the present moment. It's not the future. It works very simply. Jesus explained it in one sentence, just one sentence. Whenever you pray for something, believe that you have received it and it will be given to you. Now, the key is that he did not say believe that you will receive it, because that puts it into the future. He said when you pray for something, in other words, when you want something, believe that you have received it. Now, what does that mean? You have to feel the being of you, the fullness of life. And then, if you then want to achieve something, you bring a vision, what you want, let it merge with that feeling. Let's say you see yourself as this great musician, but not in the future. How does this great musician feel? It's reached millions of people. This is exactly how it feels. The fullness of life.
Let me again lay the foundation of changing the future, which is nothing more than a controlled waking dream. 1. Define your objective. Know definitely what you want. 2. Construct an event which you believe you will encounter following the fulfillment of your desire, something which will have the action of self-predominant, an event which implies the fulfillment of your desire. 3. Immobilize the physical body and induce a state of consciousness akin to sleep. Then mentally feel yourself right into the proposed action, imagining all the while that you are actually performing the action here and now, so that you experience in imagination what you would experience in the flesh were you now to realize your goal.
Please use every moment to step out of the conditioned mind by using the present moment as a portal into a deeper state of consciousness, the unconditioned state of consciousness.
The way that fear shows up in most people's lives is in the form of anxiety, where it's no longer fear of a specific thing, it's just fear of the world. So that original fear that's meant to result in a cry for help now becomes chronic anxiety. So fear not dealt with gets ingrained as anxiety. It's no longer about anything specific. It's just being in the world is a source of fear.
What should result in a cry for help externally becomes a perpetual cry internally.
This is one of the most important things that I've ever found in my life. It's simply this. The key to getting rid of negative emotions, and this is the most important part of this, is the trunk. It's cutting down the trunk of the negative emotion tree. And the trunk of the negative emotion tree is blame. Blame is 99% of negative emotions. Now, it's very important to understand where negative emotions come from. Negative emotions come from inside you. Negative emotions are not contained in external situations. Negative emotions are not caused by other people or other situations. Negative emotions are caused by your response to other situations. Perfect example. Two people meet the same situation, a traffic jam, a rude waiter, whatever it happens to be, and one person gets all upset and uptight and angry, the other person lets it go off their back. Another example, the same person, 2 different days. One day they've had an argument or a flat tire or they're late for work, they get into a traffic jam and they're angry and they're uptight. The next day, they leave with plenty of time, they had a lovely breakfast with their family, they got lots of time to get to work, they have a traffic jam, doesn't bother them at all. In both cases, it's an example of the negative emotion does not come from the situation. Is that you are always free to choose the quality of your emotional life. Is that you choose to become angry. Now understand this, nobody makes you feel anything. Nobody makes you feel angry. Nobody makes you feel tense. Nobody makes you feel upset. You always decide how you're going to feel, and then if you're not careful, you will fall into a negative habit pattern of blaming the other person. Blame is the core of all negative emotions. When you stop blaming, you cut down the negative emotion tree. You cut it off, you kill it, and all the negative emotions die simultaneously.
No one can make you angry. They can't make you upset. No one can make you feel anything. That's a choice that you make. You're responsible for your own emotions. Epictetus says, if you find yourself offended, realize that you are complicit in taking offense. It takes 2 to tango. But also, as the Stoics say, things don't upset us. We choose to be upset about them. It's our opinions that are to blame, not the objective situation.
So the person then who blames and complains and makes excuses and feels sorry for themselves and behaves a certain way, well, those are habits, right? And those are unconscious programmed behaviors. The only way you're going to change is become conscious that you complain all day long or you blame somebody for your life. A happy person would never want to be that, want to behave that way, and would never want to be in a relationship with a person who complains all the time. Why would you, right? So then that person says, okay, how many times do I have to forget until I stop forgetting and start remembering? That is my moment of change. So today I'm going to behave in a different way and make a different choice. I'm going to just stay conscious to not do these things. Okay, and then the person says, well, I feel unworthy, I feel stressed, I feel unhappy, I feel sad, I feel victimized, I feel grief, whatever. Is this the emotion that I want to have in my future?
The first way to turn failure into success is to stop blaming others. This is the worst thing that we can do in life, is blame other people for problems that are in many cases inevitable. It's hard to admit defeat, but as humans, we don't like to admit that we were wrong or that something was our fault, even if it was. But in order to be successful, you must take ownership over your life and your decisions. Not everything will be your fault, but when something is your fault, it's critical that you acknowledge and own the failure. This will help you to learn and move forward as a better person and find success in the future.
If my team isn't doing what I want them to do, my instinct isn't to blame the team. My instinct is to look at myself and say, wait a second, how am I not leading them correctly where they will do what they need to do? What mistakes am I making that I can adjust and change so that I improve my ability to bring people into the organization?
You think that everything the mind tells you, I need to follow. That means freedom. No, for us, it's the other way around. To learn and not follow what the mind tells you. This is the first step towards freedom.
How someone is to build their self-awareness. It's almost like the unknown unknown. If you don't have it, how do you build the thing?
Well, I know a good exercise for that. It's like a prayer in some sense. In fact, I would say it's proper prayer. If you want to know something about yourself, sit on your bed one night and say to yourself, you got to mean this. Like, you got to be desperate. This is no game, this. You ask yourself, you sit on the bed and say, okay, man, I'm ready to learn something. Like, what's one thing I'm doing wrong that I know I'm doing wrong, that I could fix, that I would fix? It's like, you meditate on that, you'll get an answer. And it won't be one you want, but it'll be the necessary one.
The idea is, instead of just acting on your emotions, instead of just acting out of anger, you step back and you catch yourself and you go through a process. First, you are aware that you don't know where your anger is from. You've made that decision, you understand it. You step back and you go, what is it that I'm really, really angry about? And in the moment that you catch yourself, you stop yourself from doing probably something stupid, saying something that'll get you in trouble. 80% of the mistakes you make in life come from this fact that you do things without being aware. You react emotionally when you could have taken that half step back and thought a little more deeply. So the idea is awareness, self-awareness is the key to everything here.
If an angry thought came to your mind, what should you do? Just pause a little bit and think, should I react to this? You can have a little bit of a time and think about it. Oh, this is anger. I should not react to this. This is jealousy. I should not react to this. Okay? It's okay to have thoughts in your mind. But if you want to be peaceful, you should choose to not to react to those thoughts.
Let's give an example where perhaps somebody says something that's triggering to you. You don't like it, and you know you shouldn't respond. You're actively suppressing your behavior through top-down processing. Your forebrain is actually preventing you from saying the thing that you know you shouldn't say, or that maybe you should wait to say, or say in a different form. This feels like agitation and stress because you're actually suppressing a circuit. If you look at young children, they don't have the forebrain circuitry to engage in this top-down processing until they reach age 22, even 25. But in young children, you see this in a really robust way. You'll see they'll be rocking back and forth. It's hard for them to sit still because those central pattern generators are constantly going in the background, whereas adults can sit still. A kid sees a piece of candy that it wants and will just reach out and grab it, whereas an adult probably would ask if they could have a piece or wait until they were offered a piece in most cases.
When the person says, God, I've been addicted to anger and frustration my whole life. Well, get ready. The moment you say, I don't want to be addicted to this, the war is on, because the body is going to find a reason for you to be angry. It's going to tell you, this is a good reason. No, there's too much traffic, you're going to be late. So then the cravings that take place when you're willing to sit through that emotion in your meditation, this is why it's so valuable. Because if you're sitting in your meditation and your body's getting aroused, that's perfect. That is the animal that's impatient, that's frustrated, that wants to get up and do something. And you're telling the animal to stay, and it usually gets its way, so it starts assaulting the brain. Turns out if you're willing to sit in that emotion, keep lowering the volume to that emotion, keep taking your attention off that person or problem, keep watching the body get aroused and settle it back down, keep doing that, sooner or later, like training an animal, the body's no longer going to be the mind, and when it realizes it's no longer the mind, there's going to be a tremendous liberation of energy. And now the person's relaxed in the present moment, in the unknown, and that turns out to be a really great place for people to create in.
What I try to do is just try to be still and understand that things come and go, emotions come and go. The important thing is to accept them all, to embrace them all, and then you can choose to do with them what you want versus being controlled by emotion.
This man, he's a Russian mystic, whatever you want to call him, Gurdjieff. And one thing he taught his students was to not vent your unpleasant emotions. So he had this exercise called self-observation, where you're to go observe yourself in the most deepest way, not just your thoughts, but about your body and how your body and your mind interact in this insane continual blend. There's no separation. So one kind of thought will affect your body, but a feeling in your gut will affect your thinking. And he said, you will discover in observing yourself that most of your thoughts revolve around unpleasant emotions. So most of it is dealing with frustration, resentment, anger, bitterness. And he said, look at those emotions, see them. Do not judge them. Do not say they're bad or good or whatever. And don't ever talk about them. Don't vent them to people. You can look at them, but don't talk about them. And the people who experience it go, whoa, I'm not talking about them. They start to go away.
We think we have to be honest in the moment, but we don't read the room and understand that there's too much emotion involved to have a rational conversation. Somebody's mad at us and this is not the time for rational feedback. You meet emotion with emotion, you meet rational with rational. You can't mix the two.
Emotional intelligence isn't loud, it's silent, steady, and sharp. If you pay attention to this, you'll understand why some people move forward quietly, but with power. Here are 4 signs of true emotional intelligence. 1. They don't react, they respond. Calm is their default. It's a silent strength few ever master. 2. They don't take things personally. Marcus Aurelius said, what affects you is not the event, but how you interpret it. They refuse to carry what isn't theirs. 3. They accept their emotions. They don't deny them. They observe them. Even in the storm, they stay aware. 4. They walk away without resentment. Not everyone deserves their energy. Detachment is quiet power. And here comes the most important part. Emotional intelligence doesn't show when life is easy. It shows when everything falls apart and you remain at peace.
The Stoics say you need to stop doing these 5 things. Don't suffer imagined troubles. Seneca says, he who suffers before it is necessary suffers more than is necessary. Number 2, don't have an opinion about everything. We can ignore it. We don't have to have an opinion. We don't have to make judgments about everything we see and hear. Just let things be. Don't complain. Marcus Aurelius writes in Meditations, again, not thinking anyone would read it, he says, never be overheard complaining, not even to yourself. If you have fewer opinions, if you just accept things as they are, you have less to complain about. Number 4, Marcus Aurelius was a busy guy. He's the emperor of millions of people. He has his philosophical work he's trying to do. But he says, don't be all about business. Marcus Aurelius says, step by step, action by action, no one can stop you from that. Focus on the part of this thing that is up to you and trust, if you follow the process, that more times than not, you'll get the outcome you want.
I'm always upset. I'm angry all the time. What are you angry about? Well, that's a huge question. What are you angry about? Well, you can get the person to list. What are you angry about? Here's 30 things that I don't like about my marriage. Here's 15 things I don't like about my job. It's like, okay, those are all micro domains that we could learn to tackle. How could you make a case for making progress in these domains? How do you make a case to yourself? How do you make a case to other people? How do you start the process of micro negotiation? And what can you offer the other person in return? And that can all be practiced out in the psychotherapeutic section. And you can do that on your own if you want. It's nice to have someone to lay these things out with, but you can do that. List out everything that makes you angry. And then if each of those things is too big to tackle, then differentiate them and then start tackling them one by one.
What we call self-esteem is actually obtained by establishing long-term functional reciprocal relationships. Because those are stable and reliable, that decreases negative emotion. And most self-esteem measures are primarily neuroticism, like there's extroversion in there, but it's primarily neuroticism reversed. Psychologists could do this. They could teach people that the best pathway to emotional self-regulation is through service to other people. That's a great deal for everybody. There's some things that it takes a long time to come back from. Like I've watched people in my clinical practice try to walk back from significant moral errors. It is not that easy. There's that Catholic doctrine that you can be saved and redeemed no matter what your sin. It's like, that's true, but that doesn't mean you don't have to face the consequences of what you've done. And like, if you want to repent and you've done something seriously wrong, so much of you has to change, that it's almost like you have to die in order to be reborn. So, anyways, for those who are listening, that's another reason why you should try to step forward carefully in your life, because you will be called to attend for your misbehavior, and it will occur during a period of crisis. And if you're a mess and a deceitful mess, you're going to find yourself in trouble so profound you can barely imagine it.